Hello, investors. This is Todd Thomas, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. The time is 5:13 p.m. Coming to you from Boca Raton, Florida to bring you the Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. State of the market. Now back to the four coveted green arrows after a strong rally today in the Russell 2000 and the mid caps. Both indexes are now 2 days back above the 21-day moving average. So we move that back up, and all the other green arrows maintain as we are well above the 50 and the 200. Leaders were mixed today, and the Mag 7 were mixed today. Overall, the market rallied on confidence of a rate cut in September, which ignited a broad rally in small mid-cap home builders and building stocks today. But there was weakness in the leaders as the 21 over 21 list was down 0.38%, 9 up, 1 unchanged, and 11 down on the day. The Turbo 12 was up 0.48%, 5 up and 7 down. The Big 8, only 2 names were up on the Big 8, up down 0.46%. The Revere Growth 8 Composite was up 1.01%, S&P up 0.3%. You can see broad-based strength. The RSP was up 1.43, outperforming the S&P. The Qs were flat on the day. The equal weights were up 0.85%. Dow was up over 1%. Mid-caps up 1.57. Russell 2000, the standout of the day, up 1.98%. 60/40 up 0.42%. And GROTECTION up 0.39%. Turbo up 0.76%. Let's go to the charts now on the indexes. Okay, starting with the S&P 500, new all-time highs today. We opened up on the day, rallied a little bit, came back down, and closed mid-range. Nice little rally into the close, but nice extension here as we made new 52-week highs. The RSP stood out, still just shy of this 188.16, however, up on strong above average volume, back 2 days in a row above that 21 EMA, which is also a good sign. Qs basically reversed and closed flat on the day. Not really much to say here as the Mag 7 were down on the day and weighed on this index. Equal weights, however, back above all these averages and up 0.87%. Dow, not much to say there. Mid caps broke through last week's 32.25 level. Next stop, 3,300 here. 2 strong days right off that 200-day moving average and 2 days back above that 21-day moving average. That's why we moved the trend gauge back to the 4 arrows. Russell, definitely the biggest standout here, closed up 1.98% at 32.20 or 23.28. Just above this old high from back in February of 23.2695. So good to see. And now hopefully a test coming up of these levels made late last year. VIX was down again slightly, back below 15. US dollar basically flat on the day. Gold basically flat on the day, continues to trade in this consolidation. Gold miners, not much today, flat on the day. Silver stood out in the precious metals, up 1.7%. And Bitcoin broke out of this nice consolidation to a new all-time high, up 1.89%. And Ethereum, the leader, with a massive 4.8% rally here. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap and run days. Very strong. And overall, the bond market staged a strong rally and broke through these levels going back to the spring here. So again, Scott Bessent today basically said that he believes we should cut rates by 50 basis points at the September meeting. And now the odds of a rate cut are up to 99.9% for September. Here is the 30-year bond yields. going down, well off that 5% level hit back in the spring, 4.82%, down 5 basis points, and the 10-year note down 5 basis points. And that is it for that. Now let's go to the tail of the tape. Okay. Basically, we are still in the follow-through day uptrend. Now, the stochastics on all 6 indexes are up. None of them are pointing down. The RG8, 6 up, 1 flat, 1 down. The NASI still down. The dollar's basically flat. And the percentage of stocks above the 5-day moving average jumped to 73.5%. That can be negative. That's negative for the market in a potential short-term overbought condition once we get above that 80% level. VIX down on the day, fear and greed. We'll find out what that number has changed to tomorrow. Still in the bull case, where we initiate a rally and trend above the 21-day moving average. Bear case would be a sustained break below the 21-day moving average. News today: the September rate cut odds up to 99.9% as Besson argues for a 50 basis point cut. Tomorrow morning, we will have the producer price index out. Basically, the S&P keys are the 8-day moving average, 21-day moving average, and maintaining above the 6,400 level at 575 in the Qs, and then maintaining the 21 and the 50-day on the Russell. Day count went from up 1 to up 2. 8 days above the 8-day, or 6 days above the 8-day moving average, and now 8 days above the 21-day moving average. Short-term expectations remain positive for both the S&P and the Qs. Today's action, we opened up 0.31% up on the open, a small 30-minute rally, pullback to unchanged, and then rally midway into the close. Average true range on the S&P kicked up to 0.9%, so up slightly. I did not update the GROTECTION or turbo numbers. As you can see, they're up 0.39 and 0.76 here, so did not update that. Overall sectors led by home construction, home builders, biotechs, China, which will go into some of these names. The pharmaceuticals were extremely strong, and the Russell 2000 led in the indexes. Also the jets and silver. On the downside, uranium, as well as the USO, which is the oil ETF, and aerospace and defense were down, but all the sectors were positive today. Currently, the GROTECTION risk-adjusted beta is 1.61%. Open heat minus 7.47%. Small ad on Robinhood today. Offensive trim on Reddit and Ethereum. Ran out of space here, so Turbo Holdings are basically unchanged. Offensive trim on Ethereum and trim on or sell on LEU. Bottom line, September rate cut odds spike after the Besson comments. Bond market rallies and stock market followed suit. Now let's get into the charts of the 21 over 21 list and some other individual names. Starting with the leaders on the 21 over 21. GROTECTION holding Rocket Mortgage up 7.39%. Saw a strong rally across the board in the builders as well, which we'll get into some of those charts. AMD stood out today, broke out through this flag formation. Definitely relative strength versus NVIDIA today, which was slightly down on strong volume on the day. No particular news here. There was some negative news today on Oracle cutting some positions in their cloud division because their expenses in the data center build-out are exceeding their anticipated levels. And also CoreWeave's capital expenses came in their forecast came in lower than expected. However, that did not impact AMD today. Reddit with 10 days straight gap and run here. new all-time highs through this old 230 level. Very strong. Would expect this to settle down and maybe build a high handle up above this level, but this is extremely strong action, and institutions are getting heavily involved in this name. Carvana, one of the other names, up 1.3%, not much to say. A-Lab basically stalled today, however, slightly green on the day, and Seagate slightly green on the day. Now let's go over some of the losers on the day of the mag, or the 21 over 21. Robinhood diverging from the strength in crypto, which is probably not a great sign for this stock, as it has been trading in tandem with the Bitcoin and Ethereum rally. Actually, even better than some of those names. However, broke the 8-day moving average today on some volume. Overall, huge winner for all our portfolios from the follow-through day post-earnings gap down here. So we're just really using the 21 EMA as our stop on this name. Apple Oven down 4%, really just after breaking through this cup base. DoorDash down 3.8% on Amazon's announcement of grocery delivery. GE Verona down 3.5%, held the 21-day moving average today. As you can see, it's had several tests of this 21-day. On increase in volume, but overall, no major damage done here. And Credo, after making an all-time high, settled in, held the ADMA. ANET basically holding its post-earnings gap. And Vistra down on the day slightly 2%. So you can see a lot of these data center names sold off, and they're all extremely extended. Palantir as well down on the day. Now let's go to the Turbo 12. Sorted by the winners. In the quantum computing area, RGTI rallied and continued to break through these old highs back here on earnings today. Again, this company does not have earnings. However, this space did look good today. Hinge Health, after this earnings gap here and this nice IPO base back here where it chopped around, basically came back down to its ADMA, held and rallied on light volume today. SoundHound, a TurboTection holding, held in very nice with a slight gain of 3.25%. Ramco Resources in the coal area as well as rare earth metals made a higher high today. And Galaxy Digital in the blockchain area, basically still holding this 35% IPO base breakout where it's chopping right around this handle area and this pivot holding though. On the downside, sure why this won't sort, but let's just go to Oklo and we'll go from there. Oklo today signed a few deals. Stock tried rallying, but basically squatted on the day and closed on the ADMA. Sanmina, again, data center names, weak on the day, down 2.8%. Same thing with American Superconductor, down 3.2%. Webull just basically still consolidating here. And that is it for the Turbo 12. Just going over a couple names of strength in the indexes today. Pulte Home was a standout in the home builders. Again, Nail, which is a turbo holding, broke through this 200-day moving average. This is a 3-time invest ETF tied to the home construction area. So Toll Brothers, all the home builders had an extremely strong day today. Companies like Home Depot also showed extreme strength today as this broke above the 200-day moving average. Not much growth here, however, these are definitely the names that led the market today. Let's see if there's any other notable names here to show today. Other than that, that pretty much wraps up. We did see some strength in the biotech today. FXI China broke out here. And this is coming through this really tight base here. These highs from back in March of 38.73 broke out above that level. So China is definitely an area to watch. FUTU is another name which also broke out, has earnings next week, but this seems to be one of the leading stocks in China. Alibaba also broke through this kind of, I guess you could call it a double bottom cup type handle base here. Some people are calling this an inverse head and shoulders formation. Nice gap earnings tomorrow on this name. Other than that, biotechs were strong, and that wraps up today's daily market insight video. Again, my name is Todd Thomas. You can email me at todd@revereasset.com. My email is toddmichael70, or my Twitter handle is at toddmichael70. If you'd like to become a client, please call 855-REAL-WEALTH or 855-732-5932. Also, likes, shares, and subscriptions to our YouTube channel and our X handles are appreciated. Have a great day.